Hello everyone, I'm Xiao Gang. I don't know if you're feeling dizzy watching this, but it's actually very simple. In this game mode, during begin play, it will set up the binding here. Then when we successfully connect, right, begin play, when the connection is successful, it will trigger this event in the game mode. And actually, there is a very interesting timing issue here. For example, if this connect success triggers earlier than this binding timing, then the subsequent auto-registration process will not be triggered. So there is an interesting timing issue here, a very interesting timing issue. Let me tell you about it. You can optimize it later on your own. There is a timing issue here. You should know that because, for example, this game instance, this connection throughout the entire game lifecycle, actually, on this game instance, it will only be triggered once. And that is actually not very reasonable. This thing is actually not very reasonable. Why is that? Because it's possible that this game mode might go through many different stages. Actually, normally, the gamer here, actually, if you send the message like this, you can write it into this begin play location. Yes, you just send it directly in begin play. That is okay. There's no problem with that. So there will be a timing issue here. We've basically already written it. We'll just ignore it. This place there will be timing issues here. Just be aware of it. We'll just ignore this. Then, here we are. When we connect successfully, we will trigger this once. Recreate init seests geode information for DSM. Now we need to handle the DSM part. As for handling it, we'll actually handle it here. Okay, so next, in this case, we have another case. Here, this is still a break. And here, we should initialize this player character. Because our player is in the game instance. When selling, this link will be made, this related information. So we prepare a 2G information data. We first parse the 2G information data. Although this information is passed, it's not useful for now. It can be seen that it should be inside this. The data in this, we haven't done anything deeper yet. Then here, we prepare a player because we definitely need to store the player list. You will definitely need it later. Then store the corresponding information for it. After storing it, we add it to our playlist. We don't have it yet, right? Actually, it's the same thing as our DS list. This is really simple. It's very simple. You'll understand once you write more. But this framework definitely still has more. For normal commercial use, it will be very complex because you also need to verify, encrypt, etc. Then after we handle this side, we prepare a message to reply. Actually, this message, we didn't really pay much attention to this message on our end either. What happens after the reply? Then the reply will definitely say, the reply is the RSP message. That is, we have already finished this player row thing. Then we convert the reply message into this data. Then we just send it back. In this place, we should take this struct. This multi-message, because it has no data that we just directly, because it has no secondary data, we just convert the primary data directly, then just send it back to him. Okay, so like this way, the DSM is like the player testing it themselves. Send this information back. Like this, the player can actually, it can be processed here. So the processing here is relatively simple. Actually, here we uniformly save this message in the Gamma instance. Then, regarding saving the message, first of all, it is definitely the same. We need to prepare this message. Right. This is the data sent by this DSM. Then we definitely need to parse it successfully. This part is definitely parsed successfully. There's nothing much to say about this because we have all encapsulated it. But if you write it wrong, it might fail. Then we need to respond to and process this information. And basically, we don't need to process much information. We only have one piece of information to process. We only process this request for all DS services. That's the information to process. As for the rest, we actually don't need to process them because we haven't written that logic yet. Let's delete this part first. So actually, normally, there are two more logics here. For example, here, it might be this logic. There is also this logic, right? Okay. Then it must be these two logics. These two logics are I'm jumping a bit here. This part is a bit jumpy. Here we receive this information, returns back. You can see, hey, here. Then after they return, actually, you receive it right here at this spot. So what do we do after receiving it? Let's just print some logs. No need to make it too complicated. If we have a screen, we can print the log. If it's this DSM, we won't have a screen. So we'll just use UA log. We'll directly use log temp. We'll set it to an error level. Setting it to error here is purely for convenience. That is to say, we'll just provide this information. And here, we'll also provide this information. We're just making it look good. It's not a warning. Okay, so in both cases, we still need to do further processing. Let's handle the players first. Because we might need to see something, we'll do it this way. We'll just print out the log. We'll just print it to the screen. Then next, we write this request. On the client side, this time on the client side, we write a method. That is to request all DS service information for the player. Something like that. We'll take this method. Let's write it into this subsystem here. Let's write a method here. This method, actually there should be two methods. Here first, let's give it a request all DS service information. Such a method, it is first a U function. We need to make testing convenient. Where do we call it? This method, let's keep it simple and call it requeue all this info. That's the method. Okay, so here we need to construct the corresponding information. Actually, the way to construct it is relatively simple. First, we get our subsystem. For this information, then we prepare these two things. We need to do some deserialization. So we take this message. This message type, this name doesn't seem right. This is a misspelled name, no matter how you look at it. This message type, we should use this one. Request all of this information. Of course, this place is racked. Okay, otherwise, our backend will throw an error again. So don't just randomly mark this information. Okay, then we no need to transmit the specific. So we can do it here. Just convert it directly. Okay, after we convert it like this, we'll just send it over. Because here, we can guarantee success. But actually, you still need to check here whether this thing can actually be sent over. You need to do error checking and such. We'll just ignore all that here. We'll just take this collecting that we already trained at the beginning. Then here, we send this information to the DSM. Now let's jump back to the DSM. Now we need to do it on the DSM. Let's handle it. The remaining two ends, let's touch on this here. Let's put these two in each round here. Here. This should be this. This one should be this. Because this is DSM. So basically everything is REQ. Okay, after it comes in. How should we handle this information? Actually, it's very simple. Because we prepare one to return. First of all, let me take a look. We have this information on our end. Let's prepare the 2D data first. The 2D data is this. It's the struct for all the DS we need to return. It's actually just a treat here. A struct of dinfo. Let's not overthink it. Let's just we'll just throw this thing directly to. Throw it to the client. Use it however you want. Because for testing, we don't really need to keep it confidential. Then after we finish this, we essentially serialize all the information. Because this DS list, let's take a look. This DS hasn't been assigned a value yet. It should be that we need to negate this value. So it should be like this. The last here equals the DS list we currently have. Okay, then we directly transfer this data over. Okay, after the transfer is done, we prepare an RSP message here, and the type of this RSP message, we need to select the option to reply to this request with all DS information. Is this written incorrectly? Let me check. It should be this one. This one is requeue. This one is declared separately. Yeah. Okay, it should be this one. Then we put the corresponding deserialize JSON here. Then at this point, we deserialize the first level data. This deserialization serialize it. Yes, called the serialize E. After serializing it, we then directly through the serial substations send it out. So we have completed the second step, you can see. Then for the third step, we actually need to go back to this place. This is our player's place. This place is definitely the player who will request this information. Of course, your DS will definitely request this information as well on our end because we need to simplify things. The player will handle it at this location. Okay, handling it on the player's side. It's equivalent to us not resolving that character for him. Then we can just convert it back. So first we need to prepare this. Prepare this struct. Right. Then through deserialization, we take information provided to us in this, the data inside this, there is a data field here, and convert this data into the information in our struct. We'll just take the easy way out here. We'll directly convert it. After conversion, just output it to our screen. Here we definitely need to add a proxy or add a series of message plugins. Then add a button, then refresh UMG, refresh the UI. These things are all too simple. No need to waste everyone's time here. We'll just print it to the screen like this. So actually, this client of ours, the function to request all DS information, we've completed it, right? Okay. So after we finish doing this, we compile. It's compile first. It should be fine. After we finish compiling, in the next lesson, we'll test this interface together. This is Gamma. This is DSM. It should also compile without issues. Let's not package this DSM. If we package it, we won't be able to see the information, which would be troublesome. Then you can adjust it. You can also turn off the tick. But our tick is fine. We won't. Let's start it like this. We still need to modify some things related to this blueprint. Obviously, we got an error again when we just launched it. The reason for the error is also very simple. It's because we launched it as a server again. So we'll still use this editor to launch it. Yes, because if you launch it as a server, it will report an error. So there's no way around this. Now let's directly launch the editor first. Then we'll go modify some blueprint stuff. Okay, after we finish launching, we need to create a new level here. Let's create a completely black level. For this level, we can just put it under content. Let's call it XGEntry. It's basically like an entry map for us. This is after the player enters. There is an entry map. Then in port X30, we need to change the default settings of this map. We set the game default map. We change it to entry. Change it to entry. After changing this to entry, we can actually start working on some related things. Then let's create a button here. Button. I'm stuck opening the level blueprint here. Okay, it's open now. Then we need to get our game instance. Good. We take the game instance, cast it, cast to our cast tool. Okay. Then we promote it to a variable. Good. This site is definitely successful. Yes, good. Then through the variable we obtained, we give it a feature. Let's take a look. What method did we write here? This is game. It should be game. That's it. This game instance. The method we wrote should be called. Oh, we didn't write this U function. Let me add it. I'll add it right away. I forgot to add blueprint code here. That's why we can't find it. Let me add it first. Then we'll take it. Open it again. Okay, we have opened it here. Then here we can find our recruit or this info thing. Then we can request our disinfo here. Of course, there is no information at the moment. Actually, we can test it directly in the editor. This does not affect anything. But before testing, we need to open our DSM as well. Otherwise, it won't be able to establish a connection. And actually, during development, these things are like this. Writing so much connection code like this, it's actually not very convenient during development. So the actions in this part we usually separate them out or control them to some red controls so that when we normally develop gameplay, we don't get affected by the server initialization process. Of course, here we are met the initialization process, so it's fine. We just ignore it because you will find that if you later write some backpack combat and then this kind of more store logic, when you develop and debug like this, it becomes very okay. It's best if we all use singletons. Okay, here we start our DSM. Let's ignore it for now. Then here we start our it. We start it. Okay, it has already received this respire information. Here we better turn it off. This method, we can observe the connection has been disconnected here. So we better change this game mode. Switch it to this default game mode. Okay, you can see it has already received this information. Right, then let's make a request. So press 1. You can see there's no DS information here because we don't have DS information. You can see, look at these two logs. We don't have DS information here. So how do we get DS information? We'll use what we did before to add DS information. It should be here. Do we have a DS info now? Okay, so now we are here. Let's make a request. Hey, do you see that? What did we get from the request? We requested the DS info. So can we secretly do something here? We can do something sneaky. We can local content, but there might be a problem at this point. There might be a problem. Let's try 18.8.188. Hey, do you see that? Why does this thing flash once? The reason it flashes once is because this is a set of clients of yours. This game client and game server of yours were not built from the same code base. So the connection was rejected, meaning it was refused. So this is how it works here. But actually, you can see, we can already retrieve all the DS information. For example, if I open another DS information like this, can it detect it, right? After we package it. If we repackage it, we can use this DS information to perform related tasks. Then, in the next class, we will continue to refine this dynamic DS launch feature and also add it to the client side. Then we will package and test it at the end and demonstrate the overall if. Alright, we'll stop here for this lesson. Thank you all.